Hello and welcome to the World Wanderers podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm Amanda, and we're your hosts.
And today we're talking about a trip Amanda took recently to the island of Hawaii.
One of the islands of Hawaii. Hawaii is more than one island.
Oh, you didn't go to Hawaii?
No, I went to Oahu.
Oahu. So why did you go to Hawaii? Were you looking for sharks?
I was on a shark hunting expedition, and that's why I went to Hawaii. No. I actually went for a yoga festival. So that festival was called Wanderlust.
Yeah. So if I had been asked about yoga festivals 7 months ago, I would have been like, what it's a yoga festival. I didn't know they had those.
To be honest, if you were asking me like 8 to 10 months ago, if I would be going to a yoga festival in February of 2015, I would have been like, what's a yoga festival? I've obviously heard of yoga retreats. We went to Jamaica and did a yoga retreat. But Wanderlust is sort of a different concept. It's a much bigger scale. And the festival aspect of it is music at night. Which is pretty cool. So the easiest way to describe it is sort of like yoga retreat meets music festival or yoga by day, music by night.
Yeah. And so since we've moved here to Banff, Canmore neighborhood,
Bow Valley,
you've been working for Lululemon, which is the popular yoga athletic clothing company. And Lululemon owns Wanderlust?
No.
Is this somewhere associated with?
Lululemon is like sort of a part of Wanderlust. For the one that I went to, they put on like the kickoff party. They don't necessarily sponsor it, but they do usually have some part of it. Lululemon has store ambassadors as well as elite ambassadors. So it's people in the yoga run fitness community who are making sort of a huge impact on the community. And then there'll be an ambassador with the store. So they're a huge part of our sort of like staff community, I guess. And so a lot of the teachers who teach at Wanderlust are part of the Lululemon ambassador program. So that's kind of the affiliation with Lululemon.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was like a Lululemon event, but that's really how you heard about it, was through your work, right?
Yeah. So the original Wanderlust started not too long ago, like only a few years ago. And the first one was in Whistler. And since Lululemon is a Vancouver-based company, Lululemon was a huge part in the first Wanderlust. A lot of Lululemon stores on the West Coast sent employees to Wanderlust to be that sort of like yoga Lululemon presence there. So I had never heard of Wanderlust pre-working at Lululemon. I had no idea that this yoga festival even existed. And it's something that's pretty big, I guess, like in the stores. A lot of employees are interested in going or have been. The teachers who teach at Wanderlust are very, very high level yoga. Like they're some of the biggest yoga names in the yoga community in the world. So
the rock stars of yoga.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so it's a great way to mix like your two of your big passions. I don't want to say your two, but like you really love yoga, you really love traveling, and now you've got this opportunity to go travel and do yoga in a really cool place. Yeah.
So as soon as I'd heard about Wanderlust, I was immediately intrigued. I was like, oh, that's something I'd really love to do. I was thinking that the event in Whistler would be sort of where I would start. And then two of the other girls that I worked with kind of were like talking about going to like taking a trip to Hawaii to go to Wanderlust Oahu. And I was like, can I come? Like, count me in. So yeah, that's pretty much how that happened. It was basically like,
it was really spontaneous. I remember like one day coming home, I think you told me about Wanderlust before, and then I'd like looked at videos and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, because it's like lots of different yoga classes you go to, other classes. And then there's also like speaking events. It's kind of like a seminar in a way, like a seminar festival thing.
Yeah. So it was super spontaneous. Like the two other girls that talked about it, I asked if I could be part of it. They said like 100% you can come. Like we met for tea to talk about it and then we bought tickets. So it was a super spontaneous sort of decision-making process. And it definitely does encompass two things I love, which are yoga and travel. And to get back to what you were saying, I just had a mind blank as to what that was.
About it being like the actual structure of the event? Like,
oh, yeah. So it's cool. You like buy a ticket. You can pick like, you can do 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day. So obviously like we're traveling to Hawaii. We chose to partake in the entire 4-day event. So you pay for that ticket and then you have a choice of up to 3 yoga classes a day. And then there's additional activities you can pay for. So we paid for stand-up paddleboarding yoga, which I can talk a little bit more about later, but it was hard. And then there's also, free speaking events you can go to, lots of different options. Like you can keep pretty busy throughout the day. And then they've got like DJs and music starting like sort of 7 p.m. and even free events. Like we did sake tasting and Lululemon put on the kickoff party, like I already mentioned. So that was like a free entry with your wristband. Like all the DJs are free once you've paid. So you kind of do get like, it sort of is festival in the way that you get this like wristband and then you're just like all access to everything festival, which is cool.
Yeah, it sounds like a really cool event. Was it probably the most spontaneous travel you've ever? Spontaneous travel decision. I guess there was a gap between when you decided to do it and when you went, but like the decision-making process was kind of like a...
Yeah, it was honestly like one coworker posted the Wanderlust Oahu video on the other person's Facebook wall and I commented on it being like, I want to come too. And then the 3 of us were working together and we were like, so are we actually going to do this? Like, I was like, are you guys actually thinking of going to Wanderlust Oahu? Because I'm actually seriously down. And then it was literally within that week, we got together for tea and bought these tickets just completely spontaneously, which was super cool because for those people who have kind of followed the podcast or for those of you out there who actually know me, I'm pretty like big on planning. I'm pretty like neurotic about making plans and it felt good to just like not really think it through and just be like, yeah, I just like bought a ticket to a yoga festival.
And it's something we've talked about on a couple of different episodes before, but how when you're planning travel, thinking about like the perfect place, the perfect answer, like there is no perfect answer. Mm-hmm. Like when I was talking about going on my trip and I was like, I went from this one place I wanted to go to like 80 different options. I was like, I have no idea what to do here. Like, I think a lot of travel decisions just have to be that like spontaneous, like go here, let's do it. Yeah.
And I feel like, travel opportunities kind of come up. And for me, it just like felt like something like, yes, I want to spend money on this. Like, I was like, there's no doubt in my mind that this is something that I feel like will be good for me to spend money on.
Yeah. I want to get into like the actual like structure of the event and like what was happening. But before you went, something happened that probably a lot of people who are listening can relate to. You had planned to go with 2 coworker friends. And then one of them bailed.
Yeah. So I mean, like, realistically, it's like we live in Canmore, Banff. It's pretty expensive here. We don't make that much money in comparison to other things. And one of the girls just didn't really budget accordingly for the trip. And she ended up choosing to sell her ticket because she didn't feel like she could afford it. So that was like kind of a crappy situation. I think just because like the 3 of us had kind of planned it together and then for one person to just like back out. And I mean, it wasn't like super, super last minute, but it was sort of within like a month of the trip. Like it was kind of like the other girl, Nicole, and I were kind of like, okay, we have to like plan other things. Like we need to book where we're going to stay after the festival because we had 3 days afterwards. Like we need to figure out what we're going to do and sort of get those plans solidified. And the other girl was kind of like not being really non-committal, and we're kind of like, what's going on? And then finally she was just like, yeah, so like I can't afford it, so like I'm not going to come. And then she like sold her ticket and just didn't come. So it was kind of crappy.
Mm-hmm. So you felt did you feel like uncertain about going now that there was one less person?
No, I like never had any hesitation. Like I had some like fears that maybe because one girl had backed down that the other one would, and I was really like invested in going. Like I was like, I'm not going to lose money on like my plane ticket and my festival ticket. Like I'm really looking forward to this event. And there's definitely like a fear of like what happens if I end up going alone on this trip. That was definitely like something that crossed my mind as something that made me feel like nervous and anxious. Like 2 versus 3 people definitely does change the dynamic. And I mean, I don't know what it would have been like with the third girl there. So I can't, like, I haven't really thought too much about how the trip would have been different, but everything worked out. Like it is, you know, I've heard lots of like travel stories about people having friends backing down last minute. And I mean, it does suck when you have made plans with somebody and they can't do it. But at the same time, you know, she had to do what was best for her. And knowing how much money I spent once I was there, like it wouldn't have been fun for her to go without any money.
Yeah. And there's always a positive side to it. It does seem like it's not an uncommon thing though when people make travel plans and like, oh, we're going to go backpack Europe, and then like last minute someone backs out. And then like,
yeah, and I think a lot of time it is money. So if you're one of those people who is not saving their money very well, perhaps listen to our episode on budgeting for a trip.
Yeah, and if you had a friend just like bail on you, like I think you would say that there was lots of positives that come out of the change in that happening, right?
Yeah,
like
for sure.
It was sad at the time and a bit more, caused you a bit of like emotional stress, but it led to things experiences that you had that probably wouldn't happen if.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I don't know what the trip would have been like had there been a third person. So I feel happy with the way that things turned out. So yeah. I guess in terms of like with Wanderlust, so Wanderlust happens in Whistler. It obviously happens on Oahu where I went. There's a few others too, though. There's one in West Virginia in Snowshoe. I don't really know where that is. Stratton, Aspen, Tahoe, and then Tremblant in Quebec. So there is quite a few Wanderlusts out there, and they happen mostly in the summer months because a lot of those places are on the cooler side in the winter.
Yeah, it's all like, it looks like all just a list of really popular ski hill destinations.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
and
what
then
was sorry?
I was going to say, there's just like, they've recently started another thing called Wanderlust 108. And so they call that like a mindful triathlon. So it's a 5-kilometer run followed by a 90-minute yoga class followed by a guided meditation.
Oh, so the 108 is part of the name. It's not like a number.
Yeah.
It's not like the version number.
Yeah.
Oh, because I was like, why are there so many 108s? I don't get it.
Yeah, no, so it's actually pretty cool. So for those of you who are like maybe that sounds like something that interests you, that's pretty cheap. I think it's about $35 to participate, and it's happening in cities like all across Canada and the United States. And I think that there's a bunch. Like, I think that I'm going to do the one in Calgary.
Okay, so there's one in Brisbane and...
oh, yeah, in Australia, too.
Where else? So what was, like, you get to Hawaii, cruise over to the resort where this is happening, and, like, what's the scene like?
I'm just going to
yoga festival.
Back up from the word they use, cruise to the resort. So we flew into Honolulu, and we stayed a night in Honolulu because we got in late a day before the festival. And it's, like, Hawaii is expensive. It's, you know, not really geared towards like low budget backpackers. That's not really the destination you go if you're on a budget. So buses were super expensive. So we found a ride share. It was just Wanderlust has a Facebook page. I posted on there, like, my friend and I are looking for a ride to the festival, like to and from. You know, a guy agreed to drive us, and we're like, okay, sweet. So like at the hostel, his flight landed early, so he hadn't even left the hostel to get to the airport by the time he'd landed. And our shuttle was late that we'd paid for. Excuse me. And so we're just like, both of us are super stressed. We get to the airport. They won't drop us off at the like budget rent-a-car place where we have to meet this guy. So then we have to take like a budget van to get to the rental car area. We've got like all of our stuff with us. Then we get there and I don't see this guy anywhere. He's giving me a description like, I have like a beard and I'll be wearing a black leather hat. Like, that's all I know about this guy. And he's like, not where we are. We're like, but at this point, we're like an hour late to meet him. So I'm like, frick, this guy may have left. And it's like $80 American to take this bus to get over to the place where we need to be. So I turn on my phone in the United States. I don't have a plan. I'm like using data. I call him and he's like, yeah, I'm like in the parking lot. And then he's like casually waving at me and we're stressed. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I thought you left. And he's like, we were just about to, like, we were debating it. Anyways, so we have this like stressful ride share. We get in and it's like, it's fine. I mean, it's sitting in a car for an hour with two strangers, but like, it's fine. And then, so where Wanderlust actually took place was on the North Shore of Oahu at Turtle Bay Resort. So it's kind of interesting because the islands of Hawaii seem to be pretty similar to the Galapagos Islands and that they sort of have microclimates. So it's like, as we leave Honolulu, like Waikiki Beach, it like is raining and it's like way more like humid and cloudy. Like we've like left the like tropical sun. And we were camping, so we set up our campsite, went and checked in, and then the festival started the next day.
So what happens at the yoga festival?
So the first day was kind of interesting because they didn't do the kickoff party till the night, but it's like we had 3 yoga classes in throughout the day. So basically you just like, you have your schedule that you've signed up for online, and they have class options at 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., and 3 p.m. And you could pay for extras, but you get 3 included with your ticket. So you set up your schedule how you want. So I think we had 1, 7, 9, and 3. So we went went to yoga, had a snack after, like went to a different room for our second class, went to the beach for a little bit, and then ate lunch, went to our third class. And I'd kind of pictured like everything being outside, but most of it's actually inside. There's like one big green space where they held some of the bigger classes with like food vendors and tents where you could buy stuff around there. But there was only really like, I think maybe 1 or 2 classes a day that were outside. So our last class was outside and it was boiling. It was so hot.
I would have pictured, like, if you're in Hawaii, I kind of imagined this all taking place outside.
Yeah, me too. That's kind of what I thought. I just assumed that, like, we'd have various yoga classes on the beach, but most of it was actually in these indoor sort of, like, conference-type rooms that were just completely empty. So you basically just, like, you check in at the door, you go in, you do your yoga class, you leave. There was, like, 2, food vendor areas set up to have snacks, and yeah, it's fairly like unstructured. Like I thought it would be a little bit more structured, and it's pretty just like you do what you want. You go to your yoga classes, you do your thing in between. And that's basically what we did for 4 days.
And so like part of the reason you went to this one was it's in Hawaii, it's in February, so it's cold here in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
So it's like, ooh, it's hot, fun, change. And then you were camping outside and like getting to spend lots of time in the heat and outside.
Yeah.
What was that camping like?
The camping was, so I guess like I hadn't really thought about the fact like what would we do if the weather wasn't good when we weren't practicing yoga. And there was one day where it was like pretty cloudy, pretty windy, like kind of off and on rain, like not the type of weather where you're going to lie out at the beach. And it's like, we're not having a room to go to. Like you don't really have space. It's like 2 of us are in literally a 2-person tent. It's like, we don't really have any like space. And then it's frustrating when like your towels are drying outside and it dumps rain and then your stuff's soaked. So camping definitely had like pros and cons. Like it was a lot more affordable than staying at the resort, like $30 a night versus $400. Like, so significantly cheaper.
Even that's a lot of money to pay to camp.
$30 a night. And it's interesting too. So if anyone's planning to do Wanderlust Oahu in 2016, the state of Hawaii, you can actually camp on the beach for free. So we heard of people who like went kind of like down from where the campsite was and were on the beach and people were like, oh, did you pay? And they're like, no, like we don't have to pay. It's the state of Hawaii and they can't kick you off. So for future, if anyone's planning this, you don't need to buy a camping pass.
Wanderlust hack.
Yeah, Wanderlust hack. Number 1.
So this was the first time you'd been to like a yoga event, right?
Yeah.
And like traveled for a yoga thing.
Yeah, outside of, I guess, like we kind of like went to Jamaica with the intention of doing a yoga retreat. I feel like it was quite a bit different though. Like,
so if someone was looking to mix travel and yoga, and they were like, it thinks retreats are like everywhere. Like what type of difference do you get in going to Wanderlust versus a retreat? What type of person should be looking at these events?
I guess you should think of like what you want out of it. I really loved our retreat. It was a lot about like, a focus on healthy eating and mindfulness and relaxation during the day, which was amazing. That's exactly what I needed then. Wanderlust, I think you definitely could get that, but you are, you're eating from food vendors, and it is like good food. Most of it was like gluten-free, lots of sushi, like lots of like vegetarian, vegan accommodations, but the food's more expensive, and you do have stuff like fish tacos and burgers and stuff too. So it's not, it's not like detox yoga retreat.
Yeah.
And there's also like I said before, we went to sake tasting, and they gave you a free drink at the welcome party, and then there was beer tasting. So there is a lot more like the festival aspect of it. Like a lot of people that we saw, like we were so exhausted that we didn't really party too much, but people are there to party. Like a lot of people go to party. Like there's, I think is a lot of people who are involved with drugs and alcohol. So if that's not something that you want at all in your yoga experience, then maybe Wanderlust isn't for you.
I like the way you say involved with drugs and alcohol.
I mean,
it's
I
like
definitely,
as if they're part of the crew.
like it's not, I don't feel like it was the type of thing that was like forced on us by any means. Like the music was definitely like a choice. Like, I mean, you always have the choice to say no to drugs or alcohol. It's not like anyone's forcing it on you as you enter in. But like there is more of that partying aspect to it.
So it's like it's maybe less relaxing.
Yeah, less of like a holistic detoxing type thing and more of like a fun yoga type of event.
Mm-hmm. Did you leave feeling like excited about yoga, and like did you feel like you made a lot of progress in yoga?
Yeah, so that's one thing so if you're looking to do like really quality yoga, Wanderlust is that. Like some of the like I said before, some of the biggest named yoga people, like I'll just throw out names in case anyone out there is a big like yoga person, like Sean Corn, Ian Finn, Janet Stone, Nikki Down, like big name yoga people who are really, really successful are at this festival. And like the quality of yoga is just so good. Like almost every class I did, I was like, wow. Like it's not like they're just taking you through like your standard flow practice. Like there's DJs in there that are like pumping it through. It's like they get you in and you're like chanting and doing these other things. And then you're like doing headstands and like they just it's more like, I guess, workshopy. Or if they are like pushing you through a flow class, it's like there's something that makes it unique. So like when I think about like some of my favorite yoga teachers, it's like, the reason I really love their classes is because they offer something that's different. Like it's not something I could just do on my own at home. And that was pretty much every class that I did at Wanderlust. So the quality of yoga is definitely there, I think. And that was one thing I really loved about the festival.
And did you feel like you progressed?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard not to feel stronger after 4 days of 3 yoga classes a day, where it's like each is an hour and a half and most of them are hard. Like we did throw a yin and a Thai massage in there, but the rest are like pretty like power yoga type things. It's like,
yeah, I guess it like even like so that's cool that you're able to do that in many courses, and it makes me think about the logistics of having an event like that. Like they're offering so many different courses at like the same times and different times, and like
for sure
cool that they're able to put that on. And
yeah, and I mean it's like, when I say that there was classes 7, 9, 11, 1, 3, it's like there's like 10 classes to choose from type thing. Like there's a lot of stuff being offered. Like to make a schedule is actually really, really difficult because it's like everything sounds good. And then you have to kind of like pick and choose. And my big thing was like, I wanted to try out a class with all the different instructors just because I'd heard like, you know, some people like love Janet Stone. Some people like love Sean Corn. Some people are like, oh my God, do every one of Ian Finn's classes. And I really like to have those experiences myself to make my own decisions about what I like and what I don't like. So I wanted to have a balance between all the teachers, which made it difficult because lots of them taught at the same time or, you know, it's just like, it was really hard to make the schedule.
So then you were also traveling with a coworker who wasn't like not your best friends by any stretch. And so that's like the first time you've traveled with someone you didn't really know super well, right?
Yeah, for sure.
How did that differ from traveling with me or traveling with Laura or another friend?
Like it definitely was a different experience, and I'm really, you know, happy I did have that experience. It wasn't really something that I thought about too much beforehand. Like I wasn't like, oh, what's it going to be like to be traveling with this person that I've spent like basically no time with outside of work. Like we don't really hang out that much. I connected with her at work and it was like, we have a good working relationship. Like I really enjoy the time I spend with her. Like it'll be fine. And it definitely is different though. You know, traveling with you, I feel like you and I know each other so well that it's really easy to be like you're bothering me right now. Or I really just need you to not talk, or I really need to talk about this, or I'd really love for you to listen to me while I talk about this. And I sort of feel like, you know, I traveled with Laura, who I lived with for basically 4 years. So I feel like we kind of also have that relationship. And then I traveled with one of my best friends, Courtney, who, like we also have like a pretty open relationship. And then, yeah, I've traveled with a lot of people who I've been really close with beforehand. So definitely was like interesting. I definitely got to know Nicole on a different level. Like I feel like now when I'm at work with her, it's like I know her differently because I've spent this week with her. It was hard at times just because, you know, you were in Europe, which made, you know, that was a little bit difficult for me because we were on such a time difference and neither of our phones were like on, like we both had Wi-Fi. I was missing like that deeper connection at points, which does make it kind of lonely even when you are traveling with someone, which is something I'd never really thought about. Like I just, you know, the idea of traveling alone has always scared me because I thought like, oh, I'll be lonely because there's nobody with me. But it can actually be lonely to be with somebody if you're not like fully connecting with them at points. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I've always almost found like it can almost be like lonelier when there's people around. Like on my trip, at least, like when I was just by myself, like out wandering around the city, if it was a sunny day, I was like perfectly happy, you know, hanging out in a dorm room, reading. It's like when there's other people in like the dorm room that you haven't had the chance to talk with because maybe they don't speak English or like they avoid eye contact with you when you try to say hi and stuff like that. Like that's when you kind of feel lonelier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like just not really like knowing Nicole, like I have a really bad habit of like filling space with words if I'm feeling uncomfortable. So it is good. Like our culture at Lululemon is that we're pretty open with that. So we did have that conversation at one point and she's like, I feel like you're talking for the sake of just talking. And I was like, yeah, I'm feeling awkward. And she's like, you don't need to do that. Like I'm fine with just like being silent.
So do you think that?
So I think it was good because we have had that culture at work that where we are like so open, that we were able to kind of like jump past that like initial getting to know you weirdness. We're sharing a tent together with not much space. And things were really good outside of that.
So you were saying that she pointed out that you talk a lot and then you noticed it was because you were uncomfortable. Do you think that traveling with someone you don't know super well helped you learn things about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think I don't know, like I haven't really traveled with somebody that I've never, you know, when you live with somebody, you just like learn to like be silent, because you have to be silent at some point. And like you and I are obviously silent a lot of the time when we're together. And I'd never really like had traveled with somebody that I wasn't comfortable just like being quiet with. So, I mean, it was good that we were open enough to have that conversation, which is good. And things were like fine after that. I really liked, like, we have similar eating patterns. And so, like, basically we were both like constantly hungry all the time and eating. And we both really like good food. Like, we'd rather,
as opposed to those people who don't.
Well, you know how some people who are just like, oh yeah, I'll just like eat this because it's cheap and it's like kind of going to taste crappy. Both of us are like, we'd rather spend a little bit more and enjoy it. So that was a good dynamic, because I really value eating good food when I'm, well, all the time, but especially when I'm somewhere. Like, I would rather spend more money and have really good sushi than spend a little bit of like less money and eat crap sushi. So that was a really good dynamic. Yeah.
How do you think it would have been if you and me went to Wanderlust?
I would really love to go to Wanderlust with you. I think that it would really improve your yoga practice. I think you would leave loosey-goosey hips, which you don't have at the moment.
But so, like, for anyone who's listening, I kind of do yoga
casually,
irregularly. No, it's like it's like, I don't know, maybe once, twice a week. Yeah. Occasionally I'll get into it and occasionally not. And it's probably like a year on and off, mostly off, sometimes on.
Yeah, I think like what's cool about Wanderlust is they do have like more intermediate advanced classes, and they do have more stuff that's geared towards people who don't, practice 5, 6, 7 times a week. They've got stuff that's more geared toward instructors. You can do your teacher training through Wanderlust. Like, there's lots of different options. So I think that you would really enjoy it. I think it'd be fun to go with you. I mean, obviously I'd be comfortable sharing a 2-person tent with you, so that would be fun. You and I have similar eating habits, which would be good. I think one thing that I would do differently next time is probably just like set my schedule up like really on my own and have it like, if that class worked out with the other person I was with, then that's great. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't, and make it more about like the day is more just like me. And then, spending like dinner time and that nighttime stuff with whoever I was with.
And you definitely think it'd be something you could go to on your own too.
100%. Like, it's definitely a place where you can meet people quite easily. We met a few people, and I think had I been on my own, I would have made a ton of friends. Like, it's really easy to connect with people in class. Like, lots of the teachers do partner work. Lots of the teachers encourage, like, introduce yourself to both your neighbors at the beginning. Like, there is a ton of opportunity for meeting people. So,
did you end up going to any of the lectures or talks?
No, a lot of the big ones, because they're scheduled in the same time slots as the yoga is.
You have to sacrifice yoga.
Yeah, so I had actually originally signed up for one, and then I got out of it because I wanted to do Sean Corn's outside class, which like blew my mind in terms of yoga. So I don't regret at all going to that class over the talk. But I think that's also something. I mean, it's tough because like part of going to Hawaii was like, I want to be outside as much as I can. I want to take in the sun and the beach and do all that. And I think if I was, somewhere that wasn't as like escape from the winter, then I'd be more open to spending more of my time like indoors in a lecture style situation.
Yeah. Cause like you've invested this money to get to Hawaii. And like the big part of that is that Hawaii is hot instead of being cold.
Yeah, exactly. So if I was going somewhere else, then I think if I was going to do it again, I'd probably go to a different one. Like, I'd love to go to the Whistler one. I've heard the Lake Tahoe one's amazing. I'd go to that, probably set up my schedule completely on my own without like conferring with the other people I was going with, or I'd just go on my own. And then I would, try and make more of the time to do some of the other activities throughout the day. And then I'd spend a few days after so I could get to know like the other areas or explore the other options that were available. So I think that's what I would do.
Cool. Is there anything else you'd want
Go to Wanderlust. If you like yoga, if you're interested in improving your practice, go to Wanderlust
Do you
alone
think it
or
was
with a friend.
worth the money?
Yes, I do. Like, I think I paid $650 with my ticket and my camping. So I did 13 yoga classes and camped for 5 nights and had access to music every single day. I went to a free sake tasting, a free beer tasting, and went to like a really cool kickoff party with live music for $650. Like, I think that's definitely worth it because I didn't even take advantage of, like, there was so much other stuff I could have done. So I think it's like a good price for your money.
Nice. And it seems like a cool way to get like into, like you meet new people, get really absorbed into like this community of something you're passionate about. And especially with the talks too, like you can do yoga, have these talks, get like intellectually stimulated, meet some friends, people who are passionate about the same things you're passionate about.
Yeah. And one thing that's actually worth mentioning is like alongside that is, you know, if you kind of like yoga and you want to get into it more, but you like other activities as well, you actually can do other stuff. So there's like, you can do slacklining, you can do hula hooping, running, hiking. Like they offer a lot of stuff outside of yoga. I just didn't do a lot of that because I really wanted to go for the yoga, and that does take away like one of your daily classes. So if you like yoga, but you're interested in like hiking, you can also make that work. Like you could do a run and a hike and then like a yoga class in your day is your 3. So there is a lot of stuff for a lot of different people. Meditation is a big thing there as well. So I definitely check it out. So on our website, theworldwanders.com, we'll put the show notes with links to the different Wanderlusts as well as Wanderlust 108. So go check it out. Watch the videos. The video pretty much sold me on it instantly. So if you have any questions or comments, theworldwanderspodcast@gmail.com.
And we have a Facebook page.
Yeah. The World Wanders.
On Facebook.
Yeah. We also have Twitter.
We also have Twitter.
Look it up. The World Wanders.
Yes. Until next time.
Thanks for listening.